Hi there, you guys. My name is Liza, and I live down here in Atlanta. I am a New York City native, and I just want to share with you some of my thoughts about where my passion comes from for cooking, why I love cooking so much, and where I got my inspiration from. Well, like I said, I grew up in New York City, and I grew up in Queens. And from the time I was very young, I could remember standing by my mother at the kitchen sink, and she'd be peeling potatoes, and I would be asking her for raw potatoes, and she would sprinkle some salt on it because that was a traditional snack in her family home when she was growing up. My mom is Portuguese, and so I have some Portuguese experience in my cooking, and I also have my father who was whose family came from the South, whose grandmother cooked for him. So I have some really great inspirations with regards to my cooking experience. And I'm not a professional, but I do love to cook, and I've had a lot of experience from the time I was very young, just growing up and watching my older aunt cook and my uncle cook and teaching me how to make these different dishes, never passing down any written recipes, but just teaching me and carrying me along and allowing me to have the privilege of being able to gain a love for cooking and appreciation for people's love for my cooking. And so as I began to grow up and I went into my career in corrections, I'm a New York City correction officer, like I told you guys, and I worked on Rikers Island for 22 years, and that was a really demanding and really difficult job at times. And I had two small children, and my husband and I, well, we weren't married at the time, but we were together, and he was a big cock diesel, muscle bound, always working out kind of guy. So he was always, wanting to eat, but he was acting kind of funny because he didn't want to eat my cooking. He only ate his mom's cooking. So I started, weaning him, feeding him little things at a time, trying to wean him off his mom's cooking. And he fell in love. He fell in love not only with me, of course, but he fell in love with my cooking. And let me tell you something. Now when I go out, he won't eat until I come home. If we go out and someone else cooked, he won't eat unless I bring something that I made for him to eat. Or he'll just say, "Oh, I'm not hungry. I'll wait until you get, till we get home, and I'll eat your food." But going back to my upbringing in New York City, I worked in corrections. It was really, difficult working on Rikers Island back in those days and in the 80s. And but I had children, and I really had a desire to want them to eat home cooking. I was never a canned, frozen food, eat out kind of gal. I grew up in a household where my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she always cooked. Every time I came home from high school, every time I came home from school, she had dinner ready. Whether I liked what she made or not was irrelevant. She had dinner made. And so that was something that was passed on that I took with me, and my children came home from school every day looking for a hot meal, and so did Lewis. And so my mom is Portuguese, my dad is African American, and so my dad, oh my gosh, you want to talk about cooking? My father was the best cook in the world. I don't know what he did. You had that show on the Food Network with that lady that does all the spices. Let me tell you something, she has nothing on my dad. He was a fantastic cook, and he got so much pleasure out of watching people enjoy his cooking. He would just sit there and watch you, and he would just be laughing and chuckling to himself. And I would call him up. I would say, "Daddy, how do I make this? How do I make that?" Because when I was much younger, I lived in this basement apartment with my two sisters, and we didn't have a kitchen. We didn't have a stove. I had a hot plate, and I had a refrigerator, and I had the bathroom sink in the back of the studio, which served as our kitchen sink. And I had this little toaster oven, and let me tell you something, I'll be getting down in there. I would be making lasagna. I would make all kinds of full meals as a 21-year-old in this little apartment with my sisters. And so, it's even back then I can remember them looking to me to cook for them. And even now we have family functions and so forth. I cook, and I enjoy cooking, and I love not so much the praise because it builds me up, but because I really truly enjoy to cook, and I really love to see people enjoying my cooking. And they always compliment me, my best friends. They're always talking about, "Oh, this is the best food I ever ate." And I said, I wonder. But you know what? I said, well, maybe, just maybe, this competition might give me an opportunity to share my love for cooking with you. And I think that I will be a good contestant on your show because I love to cook. I love to eat. I love to do things that add to people's lives and make them feel good inside and add joy and comfort to their lives. And when I cook, that does that. If I had the opportunity to be a a chef or maybe have my own cooking show. I would love that. Or even just to cater for people's small family parties. I don't think that I would want to do the big wedding type of thing, catering jobs. But I love to do things that are intimate and homey, and that I also can participate in. So, like I said, I love what I'm doing. I do it because my family enjoys it. They're spoiled rotten, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So I hope that you consider me. I've done a lot of things in my life, some good, some bad, but I've brought a lot of pleasure and a lot of joy to people through my cooking, and it's still piling into my house, having me wrap up bowls of stuffing and different foods to take home. When my best friend calls me, she says, "Do you think you can send me some food in the mail?" I tell her about the different dishes that I make. I have girlfriends that have me sending them FedEx desserts to them for their birthdays. And I mean, I kind of spoiled everybody, especially my husband. But nobody's cooking for me. Oh, my mom, I can't leave her out because she's a great cook too. But I do most of the cooking in my house, and I do it because I love it. So if you decide that you're going to select me, I am sure that you will not be disappointed, because I love what I do and I want to share it with you. So hope to see you soon, and maybe, just maybe, I could be a winner on your show. See you soon. Bye-bye.